I know everybody's busy. We're almost at 5 after 1. So I'm going to start by introducing myself to those that don't know me. I am Chris Howells. I am the Director of IT at Bankert Marketing and the course director and content director for the Learn Online Security Division at Bankert Marketing. And we introduce these bi-weekly workshops because a lot of our clients had questions on how to do things. And this was our way of reaching out to help you guys be more successful. So without ado, I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to get going and I'm going to run right off the rails to begin with. So as everybody can see, um, I have slides, but we're going to get rid of them really quick. How to make your most of your email services. Everybody wants their emails to flow smoothly. The reality is we're going to do our best to make these work better. I said I was going to use a slide. Here we go. The new Outlook and classic Outlook versus webmail. A lot of you have seen it this past year. Microsoft released a new Outlook. It's supposed to be faster. It's supposed to be cleaner. It's supposed to be everything that the old classic Outlook was not. The reality is it is faster, it is cleaner, but it lacks functionality. I personally am going to focus on classic Outlook because that's what most people are using. John, if that's you, or Joe, Brian, I know you guys travel on the road and you don't always have access to a computer. You can use your webmail. It's a feature. It works well, but again, it lacks the functionality. So we're going to launch straight into Classic Outlook. And I'm giving up my slides and we're going right off the rails. As you can see, most of you use this version of Outlook. We're going to cover the screen really, really quickly. This top section they refer to as the top panel, and in the top panel, they give you the controls for this section here. This is called your ribbon. And you'll have file, home, send, receive, folder, view, help. And in my case, I have Fox at PDF because that's my PDF reader. Other people will have other features that feed into there. They'll either have Adobe or PDF Pro, could be a Teams feature, but there's lots in there. Now, most people just use Outlook, and we're going to focus on the email features of Outlook today, but we're going to glance over a few things quickly. This is known as your left panel or your content or your folders panel. In here, you'll find favorites where you can, if you're using one folder primarily, you can drag it up in there to get into it faster. In this case, for the workshop, we have just one tab here, but you can add your extra accounts in. We have workshop at Bankert. If you want to clean up your screen a little bit, you'll see the chevron here on the side. If I click it, you'll notice that it condenses it. If I click it again, it expands it. Wherever you have a chevron, it will expand what's beneath it. At the bottom of the folder panel, you'll see that I got the email highlighted right now, but there's also a calendar. In calendars, you can add other features. You can add other calendars. You can say, well, I want to know what the holidays are. So I can have other calendars and I can have the Canadian stat holidays superimposed. I can have another work folder imposed that shows what your employees are doing, or other staff members are doing, or what your fishing trips are, or anything else. The other section that we have, this is your Rolodex for your contacts. You can see I don't have many in here, but as you add them, it will fill out. The last thing that's in here is a to-do list. You can have this that it sends you reminders through the day that you need to buy coffee, you need to buy your wife something, tell your wife to buy you something. You can prioritize it, activate it, but we're not going to focus on these last three functions today. We're going to focus strictly on the email section. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to keep covering the panes. This is known as your folder pane. This is known as a content plane, and this is known as a viewing plane. So whatever is selected in your content plane will display here. And in this display in email, you'll have the opportunity to reply all, forward, and we have what's referred to as the hamburger. If you click on it, it says I can schedule a meeting, do a meeting, reply with an instant message. I can phone them. Don't encourage you to do it because it's really sketchy if it's going to work. And translate message. I haven't used this feature very often, but if somebody sends you an email and it's in Chinese, or if they send you an email and it's in Ukrainian, Bulgarian, Nigerian, you can hit translate and you'll get a fairly accurate translation of everything that's up there. Okay. So now that we've covered most of this, we're going to talk about the ribbon. This is what we call a home ribbon. And you'll see I have new, I have delete, I have respond, I have quick steps for things that I want to do quickly. There's one that's called more. We're going to go into this one a little bit. Okay. Taps allows you to categorize, add colors, add flags, decide if an email's read or unread. Groups is designed for, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Brian. Let's say you want to talk to the other part of the ownership group and you only want yourself in there and you want to send everybody an email. Well, we can create a group that has you and the other owners involved only, and it doesn't go out to the staff. You can create another group that only deals with you and your staff and send it to that group, and it'll address that group. Address book is pretty self-explanatory. The address book in Outlook is self-populating, which means that if somebody sends me something, it will automatically add it to a list. But you have to turn around and tell the address book, I definitively want that individual in there. So let's say you guys want to email me. You can hit the search bar, and I'll show you in a minute, the to bar, and start typing my name, and it'll say, oh, I've received an email from Chris before, and I can select it. Or you can tell that email bar, I want Chris in my address book, so it's always there in case I accidentally delete it. I have seen the read aloud function at work. It works reasonably well. And I'm going to leave with reasonably well. If you're able to not use it and read the email, I recommend it. The robot voice sometimes puts some weird spin on words and they don't make sense. Translate, we've already talked about. It will translate an email that you don't understand into a different. You can do it two ways. It can translate to you, or you can translate into a different language. I preface this with the following. Whenever you're using a translator and you honestly don't know what it's saying on the other end, you always leave yourself open to it saying something that you don't mean or could be offensive. Leave that alone. Add-ins. You can integrate and personalize Outlook to yourself. Adobe has add-ins. That's probably the biggest one I can think of. You can see I have the Foxit PDF add-in. It's a lot of popular ideas. I don't expand on mine because I have enough problems on my own. The Viva Insight add-in, I've never used it. I'm not going to pretend to know what it does, but again, it's part of the add-ins. Nimble is a feature that's supposed to make your life easier. I've never used it. Not going to pretend to know how effective it is. So the biggest thing that everybody uses is we're going to generate a new email. And I'm going to grab the flyout because it's down on one of my other screens. And here we are at the flyout. If anybody has any questions, just type them in and Tracy will relay them to me and I will answer them as fast as I can. If you notice messages fly out, you get a new email and you have the standard Windows toolbar again. You have telling you that you're in Outlook. You can save a message. It'll save it as a draft. If you make a mistake, you can either undo it or you can repeat it. You can move up or down if you need to. The message is untitled. Minimize, share multiple windows, or close. Before I drop into here, we're going to go into the message. Send, exactly what it says. From, this is important for people that have multiple email addresses. This is what we were talking about before. If you click on 2, it'll start going down and you'll see in my organization, I have all these people that have emailed before. You can select them and speed up the process. Or I can turn around and say, I want to message David. And it's not going to fill because I haven't had an email from David. But if I had had an email from David previously and I started typing, it would come up and say, David at, is this who you want to select? And I can select on it. And it moves. Carbon copy. The best way I explain carbon copy is I'm sending an email and I'm going to pick on Richard because he's who I'm talking to. And I need 6 other people to know the message. Well, the addressee is Richard. The people that are carbon copied in at this point know that the conversation is really happening between me and Richard, but they just need to be involved. Okay. You can accomplish the same thing with 2 by just putting everybody and listing them up here. No complications. You can configure the text. So as soon as I have something in there, format painter, how do I want it to look? Do I need the bold tool? Do I want to underline? Do I want to highlight? Less justify, right justify, center justify. What size text do I want to use? What color text do I want to use? All built into there. I'm going to come back to this attached file in a minute because, and same with signature. I'm going to come back to these 2 because these occur in 2 different spots. Now, I'm going to send this to somebody. How to follow it up. When you send it out in your sent files, it will flag it. I need to follow this up. When you send it to somebody, I can tag it with high importance. I can tag it with low importance so they know it doesn't have to get back to me right away. The rest of these are just glorious add-ins. Now, I mentioned that I was going to come back to the attached file in the signature. This occurs in 2 different places. It occurs here on this screen, or it occurs here in what we call the insert menu. Outlook is a legacy program that has grown. So you originally used to insert a file when you sent it. And then they moved it to attach a file when you sent it because they wanted to be able to insert a whole pile of things. So if I attach a file, and I'm going to click on it from here, you'll notice this flyout list come. And this flyout list is your last few projects that you've been working on. What do you want to add? Well, there's all sorts of things. I've got everything and their dog in here, right? Or I can tell it, I need you to go to a website and get it from here. Or I need you to browse this PC and get it from a file, whether it's on your desktop, your file folder, Whether you guys have a NAS drive, it needs to come from the server. It lets you select where it comes from. An Outlook item lets you go and grab a different email or calendar or to-do list and send it to somebody else. Poll. This one's neat. You've created a group for your business and you're going to send it to everybody in the office. Poll. Where do you want to go, rather than walking through and telling everybody we're having a Christmas party and we're either going to go to Toronto or we're going to go to Vancouver. Select option 1, select option 2, send it off. Now you got a poll and they can reply back to you. I can send a business card. A lot of people have their business cards superimposed for a signature. Calendar, we mentioned that I can attach a calendar. This is another way to do it. Signature. A lot of people have signatures at the bottom of their emails. This is where you get it from. You can multiple signatures, you can create them. Personal, professional, reply. Perfect. Table. Just like every other Microsoft product, you can build a table, insert it into the email, off we go. Once you start typing, you'll notice that you have pictures, shapes, icons. That is for the body. You can insert into the body what you're looking for. Or you'll see here where it's a screenshot. If I took a screenshot from a screen and wanted to insert it, I can do it. This is a more complicated way. Nowadays, you can just drag and copy, but it's there. Draw, ironically, goes with every Microsoft program. I can draw a picture here. Options. Now, this is an important tab that kind of gets glossed over. Okay. I send an email out and I want to know that it's been read. I send an email to Richard and I want to know that he received the email. I can request a delivery receipt. I can ask to know when he read it. These are really important for tracking. You can see the encrypt section from here. I don't encourage people to use it. It requires both ends to be coordinated, and if it isn't, the message is lost. Now you see I have the from section highlighted here. If you only have one account, you can turn that off. I can decide whether or not I want to have blind copy in, which is something that we haven't talked about yet. Blind copy allows me to email Richard, Brian, and David, but David's the only one that I knows that I emailed him. This is really good when you're dealing with legal documents and legal processes that you need witnesses to, or people to know what's going on in the background, even though they're not part of the process, and to go away. Page color, themes, we can all make it look pretty if we want. Format text is the standard formatting that we see just in every Microsoft document. Review, read it aloud to you, because if you're like me, you can't spell, or you need to use big words and you don't know how to use them, or you don't know how to use grammar. Take your pick. This, when we're all said and done, we hit send and this flyout will go away. No, I don't want to save this message. And it brings us right back to here. What I'm going to cover next is we're going to cover email storage and folders. Most people know how to create a folder. But what most people don't know is there's a file button right here called folders that simplifies the process. Okay. So I can either go add to frame, I can create new folders. They'll sort them for you. I can tell it to search a folder because we really need more ways to search. But it does condense it down rather than searching the entire volume. I can search a specific folder for what I'm looking for. Copy a folder. I can copy a folder from one profile to another with all the emails that are in it if I need to. Okay. Mark all as read. It's Saturday morning. We're lazy, and it's a response from the hockey team. Mark all as read. It's a run. It's a email from our in-laws telling us we're all going shopping together. Mark as read and pretend I didn't see it. We're going to talk about run rules here really quickly. There's two spots for rules in Outlook. On home, I can create a rule that tells emails what to do when they come in, whether they get deleted, they get filed, wait till I read them and file them, don't file them, but I can create rules. And it's good to review these if you have them. But I always warn people that it can get really, really dangerous if you create rules. Really good example. I had a client, she went out and created rules. And then she phoned me one day and she goes, "Can you tell me why I'm not finding anything from this particular sender in my emails? I don't get any emails from them no more, even though they're sending me emails." And we went into the rules, and sure enough, that sender had been sending her 30, 40 emails trying to reach her, but she had a rule set up that it went automatically to the folder. And I'm going to come over to the folders here. If you see a blue number beside a folder, that means that you have something in that folder that has not been read. And that's usually a pretty good indicator that you got a rule going off, especially if you didn't know that you put it in there. Like this is a deleted item. I've moved this particular email from Microsoft around about 10 times as I've been setting up to run the course. Read, unread, self-explanatory. I can flag an email as it comes in. I want to flag this. I want to follow it up today. And I'll prioritize it. I can organize emails by color. I want it to be green. I don't want to rename it. But I can tell it, now I got a green blotch on there that I can categorize an email that this is an email came in and I'm going to look at it later, but it's a request for an ad or it's a request for a proposal. I can flag it and tag it with a color so I know what that particular email means. Okay. View. This is to make yourself happy. I'm not going to lie. You can rearrange things so it coordinates to you. Developer, stay out of it. I know what I'm doing in here, and even I stay out of it. I'm not going to even pretend. I'm going to slip back to send and receive now. This it serves two purposes. If I need an email and I need it to leave now, or I'm waiting on an email and I'm trying to speed it up, I can come in here and hit send receive. I can update a folder. I can send and receive to my groups. This is all to speed things up. I can tell me how fast things are going out. This is more of an administrator's tab. And if you're in here, chances are I'm working with you or another IT expert is working with you. There's a lot of information in here, how to download a header, which if we're tracking something and it's suspicious, like I said, I will be in here with you. Now, the last tab that I'm going to tag on here is going to be File. And you notice it's a little different than any other files that you've seen before. And typically, I'm going to be moving around in here, but I'm going to show you a few things to make your life easier. Automatic replies. I'm not a fan of it. In our other courses with Learn Online Security, you know how I discourage it. But if you feel the need to create an automatic reply, this is where you do it. You can decide that you only want an automated reply in your organization. So you know what's coming up. It's everybody wants time off at Christmas. You can turn around and make an inside organization one that everybody inside your organization is going to get the reply from you if they email you, regardless of how important it is. If you want to be funny, I am Scrooge. There is no Christmas bonuses, and everybody is working Christmas Day. And anybody that emails you from your inside your organization is going to get it. Not a good joke, but you can do it. You can also set it that anybody outside your organization is, sorry, I'm away and I'm not going to be here. I don't encourage people to use it. It's a fast way for people that are phishing to attack your offices if you guys are out. The other section is if you want to add multiple emails. So you have a Gmail, a Yahoo, 6 different Outlook accounts. We can add them from this screen. So if I click add account, it'll pass me through. First, it'll go looking for accounts because it's smart. But when it can't find anything, it'll ask me, what type of account is it? Where is it? And it will set it up. Like right now, it wants to set up my Christmas. I'm not going to do it from here because right now that mailbox is full. But if I told it to connect, it has enough information that it can go because it actually already has my password from being signed in elsewhere. There we go. So we can add account settings. We can import and export previous versions of Outlook and blend them in together. And Outlook will sort through that, create your address books, move your emails, everything else. The other thing that you'll see in here, we can change profiles. Profiles have different purposes. You may need to look at older stuff. You may need to look at newer stuff. You may need to do what I'm doing here today, which is for security reasons, my regular profile isn't being used. I use a different profile. 90% of everything that happens in this area, I will be directly involved with you with if we have to do it. Now we're going to talk about one last thing before we leave, 2 last things before I'm finished here. We're going to talk about archiving. And I'm going back to home. Archive can happen in 2 spots. I can archive from here, and I can archive from folders. What I can do is I can set my auto archive features in folders. And what I can tell it is I want every email from 2021 and back, I want to archive it. And what it's going to do, it's going to save it on the computer that you set the archive rule on. It's not going to do it on everybody's computers if you have a shared mailbox or if you're using multiple computers. So if you set this rule in your office computer, all those are going to back up on your office computer. If you have a company laptop that moves with you and you set it up on your company laptop, it's going to archive on your company laptop. You cannot see those archive folders from any other device, even though you may have that email set up. It'll only be visible where you archive it. The reason for archiving is even though Outlook says it can handle infinite amount of emails, the bigger the file gets, the clumsier it gets to work with, the more space it takes up. The more prone it is to losing information, the more prone it is to slowing down. The rule of thumb will change with the organization you work with. Some people need their emails to be short, concise, and they only want anything older than 3 months has to be archived. Other people want to go back a couple of years. I do not recommend going any more than 3 years in your folders that are readily accessible. And it's partially a security reason, and it's partially for Outlook to play nice with itself. As the files get bigger, Outlook starts to struggle with it. It's just a collection of data being as big as it is. The other thing is, if somebody gets into your emails and everything's in the open and you don't have stuff archived, they can go back as far as they want. If they get into your emails, there's no stopping them. Keeping your data runs short, having an archive that's accessible from a central location, whether you have a central computer that you're able to remote into, or a NAS system that you can remote into that centrally holds your files. That's what I encourage. Absolutely, I don't know how else to put it. The last thing I'm going to talk about, because it's becoming prominent, is we're going to talk about multi-factor authentication. More than ever, multi-factor authentication is becoming important. If you work with Microsoft 365, they've turned it on automatically now. It's not even an option. If you remote in, it's going to turn around and tell you what's your code. Now, I can set this up differently, and I've had Richard help me set it up differently for different organizations. Gone are the days where I'm going to tell you, don't do it. You're going to start, especially if you're people that travel a lot, that are using multiple computers. I encourage it. There's lots of applications out there. The Authenticator from Microsoft is really good. LastPass, and Richard, please help me out here. I can't think of the other one.
There's a number of them, but so Microsoft Authenticator is
Yep.
obviously one.
And it's very
Um,
robust.
Google has an authenticator, LastPass has one, WatchGuard has one. Uh, there's lots of companies that have them.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I recommend when you're using them is backup authentication. The day is going to come where the phone is sitting in the car, or you can't get to it fast enough and you needed second authentication, or you don't have data for whatever reason, but you can receive an SMS message on your phone. Set up multiple authentication modes. Okay. When you use these applications, they come with rescue codes. And I'm speaking from experience because I learned the hard way. I saw them and said, I'm never going to need those. And I threw them away. I deleted the digital codes, and all of a sudden Rogers phoned me up and said, hey, you're eligible for a new device. This leads into the second topic on their devices. You're eligible for a new device. And I said, great, sign me up. When I ran down there, got my new device, and then I was locked out of my authenticator. I had to go back, get a hold of all these organizations and say, hey, I need you to allow me to re-authenticate because I kind of blew it up. And it took me a better part of a week to get it done. Keep your rescue codes safe. And remember, when you get a new device, that device doesn't automatically, because it's your account, doesn't automatically move. The authenticator is authenticated to that device's MAC address. And because it changes MAC addresses, it doesn't carry. The last thing on here I'm going to talk about is webmail and multi-factor authentication. If you're going to use your webmail, make sure you have multi-factor authentication turned on. There's no argument about this. 2 years ago, I would have been, as long as you have a good passphrase, you're good. But with webmail and people utilizing it the way they do now, I would say make sure you have your multi-factor authentication turned on. I'm getting hoarse. I'm coughing. I'm now, anybody's got any questions, fire away, and I'll give you the best answers that I can. Okay, with nobody else, quick summary, Outlook, regardless of the version, is one of the strongest productivity applications programs available to users. I just highlighted stuff today to help make your life move a little bit easier. I also focused on Outlook Classic. The new Outlook is an entirely different beast. And the phone application is different than the new Outlook. And the new Outlook and the web look very much the same, but they do have different features again. If you have questions, contact us. We'll schedule a session. We'll dedicate it just to your organization. We'll answer your questions. We'll focus on your staff, their needs,